Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Fintech Fridays. And with me is a longtime friend and a co-founder of Rebel Chics Media, Donna Trajcevski. Donna, what's happening?
Hey Brian, how are you? Thanks for having me
I
on
am
here.
awesome. It's good to see you again.
Same here.
So we'll start with the pleasantries, as they say. So we were former coworkers at Flagstar, so we've kind of known each other for quite a while. Um, you have partnered up with another one of our former colleagues, and you guys started a media company that is kind of setting out to serve what I would call a huge need in the market, helping local loan officers kind of build a personal brand by telling stories with video. I mean, that's kind of the long and short of it. And uh, why don't you tell us a little bit about kind of the startup of Rebel Chicks and who your partners are in this, and let's dig in a little bit.
Absolutely. Thank you. So, Rebel Chicks Media was created to fill a gap in the industry. So, we create content to educate and inspire homeownership. And really, our platform is targeted for those customers that don't have a social media presence yet. They may be out there and they see what others are doing and they comment on posts from others, but they really don't know how to leverage social media and connect with their customers. Or they're nervous about creating content or don't have the time or the tools, especially when it comes to videos, as you mentioned. That is the most engaging type of content you can put out there. So we fill that gap for them. My partner, Jillian Sorensen, Nikki Sorensen, and Aaron Baker. We are Rebel Chicks Media.
Great name,
We
by the
are we're rebels. We
way.
are
I
absolutely
know, I
rebels.
know two of you are. So
Some of you may know Jillian Sorensen. She's an amazing account executive for Flagstar Bank. So we're Rebel Chicks Media, and we create the social media content that you need. So as Brian mentioned, we create videos, but we also create graphics, the images that you need also. So, as I mentioned, there are many out there that haven't really been on social media yet, or they are and they're just dabbling in it, right? But we also can fill that gap for some of those that are out there and they kind of ran out of, ideas and the bandwidth to do it on their own. So that's where we come in.
I got a bazillion questions, so we'll kind of dive in, and it'll be you're used to these conversations with me. They'll be all over the place. Um, One of the things that's super interesting to me, and again, I know you guys really well, is that yes, this is a new business and a new service that you're bringing to the market, but it has the benefit of decades of experience behind it, right? And not just decades of experience, but decades of specific mortgage lending experience. And I would add, in a highly regulated, compliant environment, right? Coming out of a big bank like Flagstar, you guys are attacking this with an eye on compliance and edutainment, right? So educating while entertaining kind of potential consumers on behalf of loan officers. So why don't you guys talk? Why don't you talk a little bit about the collective experience of the team and how you bring that experience, that knowledge, that expertise to the market in the form of content?
Absolutely. We've got a great dynamic. So I myself have about 22 years industry experience. And I've, as you know, Brian, I worked on a lot of different things over that 22 years. So from my latest, most advantageous experience to myself was working on technology. That was the most rewarding for me. And, working on the LOS, working on the portal, and so that's where I really grew, but also interweaving in the compliance aspect of it. And so dealing with all the compliance regulations and I bring that to the table because everything that we talk about when we're creating videos and any content, you really have to have that strong focus on compliance. And obviously, there's technology involved too, right? With anything you're creating. And also dealing with anything that when we're talking about the mortgage process, you have to understand the technology that comes along with that. And then you've got, my partner Jillian, who's got such an expansive knowledge on products. That's huge in the underwriting process, in pretty much anything else that when you're talking about the mortgage process. And then you've got our other two partners, Nikki and Aaron, who really come in with the content and the creative side of things and putting our knowledge and experience on the mortgage side and putting that out there in the form of the content, the videos, and the images.
And I don't think I don't think people should underestimate the value of the expertise, the experience, the knowledge, and like I mentioned, in the context of where you guys, spent most of your careers in a regulated financial institution. That's very important,
Okay.
especially for the loan officers that want to get get on social and start to build their own personal brand. But not only do they not know what they don't know, in a lot of cases, they don't have the depth of experience to know what they shouldn't be saying or doing as it relates to,
Exactly.
engaging consumers. So I think you guys, in addition to just how cool the concept is and the platform that you're bringing, there is the added value of that expertise and the mindset of making sure that we're saying the right things to prospective consumers. Let's
Exactly.
let's talk a little bit about kind of your thoughts, how you guys think about that consumer education experience. So maybe without going into all the, every single piece of content that you create, just kind of high level when we talk about educating consumers, how do you guys think about that in terms of what do you think is important that loan officers should be talking about in their communities as it relates to, educating folks that are maybe just starting their home buying process?
Yeah, I mean, anything related to home ownership is going to be beneficial to home buyers, potential home buyers, right? And even children. I mean, getting the message out to teenagers starting young, right? You need to get that message out there about financial literacy. It's crucial to them. But understanding also the process is key as well. With your organization, that is important too, right? I see that with what you're doing at FinLocker, and that is key. You're getting that message out, you're getting that word out that they need to understand what goes into the process, what goes into everything that you're doing with your credit score, with what every single transaction that you do prior to can impact you down the line. So you need to understand what you're doing so that you can get into that home, so you can have that dream of owning a home.
We just wrapped up a study where we partnered with a group of students from the University of Southern California. These students are part of the American Marketing Association. It's kind of a student group that many universities have, these little kind of groups, if you will.
Mhm.
Um, and this is our second year partnered with USC on this. We have a new group of students this time around, but for 2 years in a row, they've surveyed roughly 1,000 um, Gen Zers about their thoughts on home ownership. What it would mean to them? Do they have plans, etc.? But most interesting in our latest study, we asked a question of the Gen Zers: where do you go to learn about financial education? And so the good news is the first place they tend to go is family and friends. And the second kind of most agreed upon source of content was social media. So I think for loan officers that are watching and listening, um, and that haven't, embraced building a personal brand, maybe leveraging their own corporate brand on top of their personal brand and using their platform and using financial education as a way to build your database. That's that's where the next generation of home buyers, that's where they're going to learn. They're going to TikTok, they're going to Instagram, they're going to YouTube, and that's where they're learning. And so, and I'm seeing it with some of our clients being that are having great success. They have, hundreds of thousands of followers, which is great, but they're actually making making that following, turning it into a business underneath the followers. So they lead with education, build trust through education, and then when somebody that's following an influencer is ready to make a financial decision, there's a layer of trust that's been built and a relationship between that consumer and this influencer. And the first thing when they're ready to do something, they're going to ask the influencer, what would you suggest? Well, if you're a loan officer and you're also an influencer, you've got the platform to kind of build trust and build a relationship. And what you guys are doing at Rebel Chics is going to really, I think, accelerate those that are just kind of starting into that process by giving them access to content that's going to resonate with that population. So that was a long-winded way to ask this question. How, as you guys are creating content, how are you validating that the messages and the content is going to resonate with the target audience, specifically, the younger next generation home buyer?
Well, I think it'd be through testing. Just getting feedback from users,
Yeah.
from our customers too, because they're going to tell us. They're going to tell us if they're getting the reactions that they want from their customers, from their social media followers, and that's what we're going to know pretty early on if we need to tweak things when it comes to certain videos.
And I'm sure I would suspect that with maybe with a couple of your younger partners, they're in tune with. Not calling you old by any stretch, by the way, but they're probably in tune with what's trending on on the different platforms, and
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I've actually, we've pulled my daughter in for a couple of things too. And
yeah.
just even using her as a voiceover, and it helps because that way it does resonate, like you said, too, with certain crowds too. So if you want to direct a message to a certain audience, then you use people that are in that same age group. So
Yeah, it's kind of makes sense.
yeah, absolutely.
Um, so let's talk a little bit about so content. I get that, super needed, love it. Um, let's talk about the kind of the subscription models and kind of the different ways you guys are thinking about how loan officers can partner with you. Maybe just talk through kind of the way you're thinking, because this is all just coming to market kind of as we talk here. So
Yeah, absolutely.
it's brand new.
So we offer two different subscription levels, and they basically allow for different types of, or I should say, they each offer two different caps. So it's you get a certain amount of downloads for each of the subscription levels, whether it be an X amount of downloads for videos each month, and then graphics for each of the different subscription levels, and each of those come with custom branding on the videos and the images. So what happens is that we're a little bit different than most content digital commerce platforms. You don't just download the item once you're on there. We're going to custom brand it for you. So we turn that around extremely fast. And so when you come onto our site, you are going to go and choose what you want, and we're going to go ahead and put your information on there, your logo. If you have a headshot, we're going to toss that on there for you. Any of the information you want on there, whether it's your address, your website, your email address, your phone number, those sorts of things, we put that on the picture or the video for you. And so it's really truly custom branded for you.
And that is so important. I can't tell you how many times I can tell when a content provider creates a new piece of content, and maybe there's loan officers that subscribe to the service. Like same day, I'm seeing the exact same image or short video, like nothing custom about it at all. It's the same thing on hundreds of different originators social feeds, and consumers see that too. but I love how you guys are kind of going about it with that customization, because it's, again, we're talking about a channel of communicating with prospective consumers that is very personal.
Mhm.
And so the personality of the individual has to be able to shine through. And so whether it's a headshot, whether it's you know, a logo or some other, marking, if you will, that differentiates, that all plays into kind of that personal branding and a level of trust that starts to get built. And I've seen the content that you guys create. There's a definitely a an agency level of professionalism behind it. So it's not like the typical person that starts doing social, like this guy, who just, is doing it on his phone on his back porch, and it looks very amateurish. You guys have really created a high quality set of content, and then over time, as your subscribers are using the content and pushing it out, there's consistency now that comes with it. So the message is consistent, the tone is consistent, the look and feel, that all builds into that personal branding and the trust that the consumer starts to build with that brand and the individual. I didn't have a question. I was just rambling.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. The quality is definitely there in our content. But we do have some fun stuff too.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's we want to inspire homeownership while educating as well. And so there's a mix of content out there for anyone, right? You can push the educational, which is so important. And then also you can toss in something fun about, we've got videos out there about dogs and wanting a home in a yard, right? To run around in versus an apartment, or so there's fun stuff out there to entertain your audience as well. So it's not just, the boring stuff that you could see out there. It's also entertaining and fun stuff.
Yeah, and those are, when you say inspire homeownership, those are the images, though, that for some people it's going to be that's going to be inspiring, especially someone
Mhm.
that has a pet or two pets. They live in a small apartment, and they see a fun video where a dog is wanting to have a place to run. That can inspire someone to think about
Absolutely.
what do I need to do to be able to give Fido here a place to run.
Yeah. Yeah, they all have a message, right? It's not just entertainment. They're all entertaining with a message, a call to action.
Yeah, one of the things I would maybe dig into a little bit more for folks to understand is Jillian in particular, her experience as an account executive. Um, I've been in the TPO space for almost 30 years, and she's definitely one of the top account executives in terms of knowledge and willingness to kind of roll up her sleeves and get dirty on a loan and dig in. And with that comes a just an unbelievable perspective on what is possible for the average consumer who may not think there's a chance for them to buy a home and get a loan. She's seen it all, and I think her watching that experience kind of come to life in the form of how to educate consumers is going to be super exciting and super valuable for your clients, and she'll probably have a lot of fun
Definitely.
with it.
Yeah. I agree completely.
what
She's really fun.
so as we kind of wrap this up, what inspired you guys to kind of set off and do this thing, because it is very needed, but I'm just curious, like, what your individual inspirations were for this.
So, Jillian, for any of you that are following Jillian or have been on social media, she really got into creating content for herself and for social media. And her and I just started talking about it one day, and we said, "Why don't we try this? Let's do it." I mean, what could go wrong, right? Let's give it a shot. And so here we are.
Yeah,
We saw the gap out there in the industry. We did, and so why not try it?
and she was definitely an early adopter
Yeah.
on the social front, especially in the TPO space, right? Uh,
Hmm.
and I mean, I follow her, and what's cool is like her teammates. They're all following Jillian's
Yeah.
lead, and but it's cool because they're building their personal brand. They're building trust with the audience. Their audience happens to be loan professionals, um, and they're also helping build the value and the brand of their company, right? And so all that stuff is powerful. It is the power of social, and more specifically, the power of video. And you said it early on in the conversation. Video is where it's at right now. Who knows if it will be there in 2 years, but right now, this point in time, video is what's killing it on all the platforms.
Yeah. And I think one thing that she realized early on, and she was really good about reminding herself of, is that it's not something that's just going to take overnight.
That's
And
right.
so, and that's something that we'll remind our customers about too, is that you're not going to see results immediately. You'll see them in the future. You'll see them maybe 4, 5, 6 months down the road. It's not something that's just going to happen overnight. So you just have to stick with it.
Yes, that's actually a great point. You, you're not going to go. A loan officer's not going to go on social, put their first video, and have three
Hmm.
loan applications 3 days from now.
Exactly.
You might only have three new followers 3 days from now. But
Yeah.
what I would say, and this is I'm speaking from experience because I've been a LinkedIn guy since forever. So
Yeah.
that platform I'm super comfortable with. I understand it, and just recently have kind of been more visible and active on like Instagram and TikTok. And I'm not necessarily trying to grow consumer followers there, more B2B, loan officers and mortgage professionals. But it's slow. I go days and days and days without any new followers, and then I just keep testing different messages, and then something resonates, and next day I've got 10 new followers. So it's like the message to the market is you have to start. You have to be on these platforms. You need to start. You should partner with somebody like Rebel Chicks Media to help you create professional grade content. So at least you don't have to think about that part of it. And start now, and don't get uber focused on the vanity metrics, the followers and the likes and all that. Um, but in 6 months after you start, you'll be blown away by where you are. And you still may not have a new loan out of it, by the way. That's okay, because you're building your the way I think about social is next year and the year after's loan production. So you're planting the seeds today that are going to, sprout next year and the year after. Um, and the good news for a lot of loan officers is there's plenty of loan officers that aren't willing to play that game, and they won't be around. So there'll be more of the pie for those that are willing to take the leap and invest in this strategy. Anything else you want to share with our esteemed audience?
Yeah. So one more thing is that we're going to be offering our content in other languages as well.
That's right.
So
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
starting out. Well, first off, our content will have no text, or I'm sorry, just text, and then we have female voiceovers and male voiceovers, and then we've already started some of our content in uh, Spanish and Chinese.
Nice.
And so we haven't done our entire library as both of those, but we've started that. So we have several pieces that are in both Chinese and Spanish. And then we're also going to start branching out into additional languages as well.
That's huge. And the
Yeah.
platform that you built is built in a way that obviously you can, as a subscriber, you can select which language or languages, if you're trying to go even wider, you want to use, right?
Correct. Correct.
I love it. Well, this was awesome. I'm stoked. Obviously, we're kind of partnering up and creating some content together, which is super cool.
Yes.
Can't wait to share that out to the market, and love what you guys are doing. I think again, it's much needed, and you guys are uniquely qualified to really add value here with not just the tech that you have to support the platform and the quality of the content. But again, the decades of experience behind it is so, so important.
Absolutely.
Well, I will be watching intently and cheering on the success of Rebel Chicks Media. Thanks for joining today, Donna. And everybody, thanks for tuning in again. And be sure to come back next Friday for our next episode. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Brian.
You got it.